Hi, welcome to Art of Academia, a weekly podcast featuring interviews with leading scientists and insider takes on life in academia, hosted by Komal and Madan, researchers from Cancer Science Institute, Singapore.
What's up?
Oh, I will tell you something that will blow your mind away.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Am I ready?
We have recorded 20 episodes.
Oh, damn.
This is our 21st episode that we are recording.
Nice.
How cool is that?
That is very cool.
Right?
Actually, we have recorded more than 20.
Including like the science canteen ones. Yeah?
True. And
Yeah.
in fact, I was like, when I was like sort of preparing for this episode, I was like, wait, we've talked about this. And then I realized it was one of those things that
The science canteen
we
ones.
recorded before, but we never uploaded.
Yeah, I mean from there we used to write.
Only two, yeah. Lord, we're reaching the silver jubilee soon.
Yeah, it's true. What else is up? Let me think. When was the last we recorded? I went to the Coldplay concert. That was super fun.
Very big. Everyone's talking about
Huge.
it.
It was huge. And instead of it was supposed to be a group thing, but it ended to be a solo concert for me.
What?
I couldn't meet my friends.
Mansi?
Yeah. So they went there earlier. They were in the crowd.
Uh-huh.
So it's a huge ass stadium.
Oh.
It's National Stadium.
Right.
It's huge.
Yeah.
60,000 people capacity. So people were sitting, like if you have seats, you sit around like as you would see in a cricket stadium or football stadium.
Yeah.
And then in the center, the stage is like this and crowd is around it. So these guys got the standing tickets.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. I was late. I had like lab stuff and it was again a Tuesday, last Tuesday basically. So I had the lab meeting and then after that I left. I wasn't late because the actual concert is supposed to start at 8:30. And before that there's random performances like
Someone else is opening, yeah,
I shouldn't
yeah.
say that. It's an opening performance which somebody must be very excited about.
Probably.
Yeah.
Is it local artists?
Yeah. This girl called, I forget the name now. She was nice. Yeah, but basically I reached there and the bigger problem was because it's like this dome thing and I think a lot of metal, there was no network connection, phone connection in the center.
I see.
If you're there on the boundary, you can still connect your phone, but inside the center you can't. So we were like normal texting. And those texts were also not delivering.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so that was really like, oh my god, what the fuck do I do now? So then at one point, I think we were able to contact a bit. Like some messages will suddenly go once she gets connection. And then she's like, okay, this guy, one of the group members, is flashing light. You follow it. He's very tall. He has this, that, some descriptions. And you follow it. I was like, okay, I'll try. And then, of course, everybody was doing the same thing. So I ended up like going through the crowd, like, it's a crowd. People are smashing in there. Everybody's trying to be as close to the
Even
stage.
before it has started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the other performance is going on and everybody's obviously trying to get their position.
Right.
And everybody is getting drinks and like food within that tiny packed space and they all are trying to be as in front as possible. So I'm obviously like stomping on feet and like people are all like annoyed why this woman is doing this nonsense. And I do this 4 or 5 times. Every time I'm like, oh, I have finally reached them. When I see the flash, it's a different group.
Someone else.
It's a different group of people. Like it's not my people, man.
Did they not tell you like roughly where they are?
They did, but it is difficult to figure out. So for example, if you're standing outside, they were like, okay, this is the main stage, this is the screen, and we are at 90-degree angle.
Oh.
When you're outside, you can understand, okay, this. But once you get inside the crowd, you have no reference anymore.
Right.
So then you're just like on your own and you're just trying to see the light. And that happened 4 times, good 4 times.
Yeah, I remember reading, there was some, I don't know if it was a tweet or a blog post, but it was a rather detailed post on tips on how to like let people know where you are, like find you in like a concert or a festival, mainly because of this, like some network issues.
Exactly.
And then you can't be like, meet me at 11 p.m. at this place because different people will see it at different times.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a real thing.
I know, I experienced it. Like, oh my god, that was frustrating for a while. And then I was not losing hope. They were obviously trying again and again. And they're like, okay, this guy is now, he has a bottle in his hand now. He has specs in his hand now. Okay. I can see it from far, but once you could
see it. You could see
in
it
the very end.
specific...
In the very end, the specific. So that went on for a while, but then I sort of convinced myself that this is fate. It's gonna be a solo concert, girl. But it was Coldplay, so I was fine with it. I thought like they will have the vibe set, so it's actually okay. But then I was just moving. I found like some other solo girl. I think she was solo because like we were vibing, we were dancing and all.
Nice.
Very beautiful concert. The concert was absolutely amazing. I'm glad I did it.
Nice.
He's a beautiful person, man. Like I like his songs and stuff, but his performances were also so soulful.
Okay. Does it feel like concerts have been on the rise lately? I feel like I at least personally, for like before maybe a year or two, I wasn't hearing about so many concerts, at least in Singapore.
Yeah.
But it feels like suddenly they're on the rise. Like every other month or so, there's a big
Somebody's
concert
there.
that
I
someone
guess,
is
I mean, one
excited
thing is,
for.
of course, after COVID, I think more people started touring. And
True,
maybe
true,
now
true.
they have sort of figured out that Singapore is a nice spot. Because as
Probably.
opposed to some
All
other
of
East Asian
Asia.
countries, Singapore people will travel to. It's easy for them also to organize everything. Things are pretty modern and sorted.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. How about you? What's up?
What have I been up to? I guess in terms of updates, we have Alexia who moved in to the house.
Oh, actually, before you move ahead with that, it just reminded me that it has been exactly 1 year since I moved to this new house.
Oh.
Today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
6th
1
of
year
February.
anniversary.
Yeah, it is.
Nice.
Like, we were on the group. We were like, yeah.
How do you remember this?
I think because the contract got renewed.
Oh, okay. And then
I
when you went, when they were signing the contract.
The contract.
Got
And
it.
I think we were just discussing a few weeks ago, just a week ago or something also, that this was the date that I moved in. It was very wholesome. I was I felt a lot of gratitude.
Yeah.
And just, I think my experience in Singapore has changed a lot after moving into the house. So much has been happening and it's very nice. Yeah. Moving on to your new housemate.
Yeah, same thing, I guess. Like, I've been in the same house for like 6 years now. But the people, I mean, like, they were people I had randomly met. Like, they were already in the house. Some of them were coming new. But I basically didn't know them before I moved in. And although over time we became friends, it doesn't have the same quality as like friends I would hang out with. Like, I guess I still saw them as roommates. And even though we were hanging out doing things together, at least in my mind, it didn't feel the same of like I'm living with friends, right? So I guess this will be the first time. And it does feel different actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, small difference, obviously not like mind-blowing big difference, but one thing I've noticed is like I tend to spend way more time in the living room, for example, like when Alexia is around.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even if I'm not doing anything, normally I might just go to my room and do that stuff.
Yeah.
But now I'll do it outside
Yeah.
if she's also there.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Like, it, I guess, makes it a bit more interactive, even if I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's been nice. Other things, one exciting thing is Alexia also brought like her oven with her.
Oh, yes.
So we've been using the oven more, and I'm loving it, dude. Like, I don't know if I told you this, but all of these internet recipes have a mandatory baking step. Anything, like all the good stuff requires an oven, and I'm always annoyed. So, if I find a recipe, I have to be like, same recipe but without oven, right? And then it's some shitty alternative version. So it's nice to finally have access to that. And she's also like, she's experienced with it, right?
Yeah. I think she likes cooking, right? She must be like a pro chef. I feel like the French.
She's pretty good. Yeah. A lot of fancy things.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, because my previous housemates were all Indian. And even though like at least one of them, he would try to make other cuisines, he's obviously also just learning from the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have someone who grew up in like a very different like French culture whatever.
That's true.
And have them make it.
Yeah.
So that's been nice. Like, I'm also making some Indian stuff for her. She's doing some French stuff.
That's nice. Very wholesome.
Yeah, the cooking has been nice. It does take time, This has been. We will come back to this. It's okay. What else? That's the cooking thing. Oh, we're also doing BFT together.
What's that?
This is the gym.
Oh yeah.
So there is like this new. I mean, I wonder if I talked about this on the podcast, like struggling to find a good exercise routine.
That happened in Rituals
exactly
episode.
right.
Actually, this was also something I wanted to talk about. Go on.
Yeah, so that has been, so initially I wanted to do some martial arts, that kind of stuff, things that I thought I would enjoy more than just going to the gym, because like that didn't really feel like my thing. But fucking expensive, dude. Martial arts classes here are like quite expensive. So the sort of compromise I have arranged is doing gym, but where it's like a class kind of fashion, where you have instructors. It's like a group session. They team you up, and then they've already like planned the workout and everything. And it's very timed, and very guided. Like if you're doing things wrong, they'll tell you and all that.
Yeah.
So basically, it just completely removes the cognitive overload of having to plan your workout yourself and then doing it alone, right? It's only been one day, but I've been hearing a lot about it. Many people. So my roommate has been doing this for very long. My lab mate also has been doing this very long, and they had the same comments as well, that they don't like going to the gym alone, but this kind of structured thing helps them. So yeah, we're just doing like this trial class.
Cool.
So the plan is to go every day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm also like somewhat. I just don't like gyms. Just don't. I'm happy to play even if it is indoors, or I'm happy to even run if it's with people.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like running on treadmill or.
Yeah. So okay, I guess one last thing before we move on, because today's episode also, I think it's the main content I actually didn't want to talk about, but I just found myself like the past few days, all the things that I like. Usually, my way of bringing content is like if I'm reading something. If something really resonates with me, that's what I like think more about, and that's what we talk about, right? And it just so happens that everything that's resonating with me is about this thing. So it's like, okay, fine, let's just talk about it.
It's a sign from the universe what to
get
do
it
now.
over with, right? But before we get there, last update. I was doing this like, it's like these tiny Legos, but smaller than Lego pieces, and it's a different company but same concept, and it just comes with an instruction manual, right? And you're just putting them together. And I had this for a very long time, but I just randomly decided to take it out and try it, and it was super nice. Like there is something about the experience of just following instructions. So it's like you're doing it, you still need to think a little bit, because you need to figure out, like exactly to match it. You can't like completely brainlessly do it. But you don't have to like, there is not a lot of uncertainty as well. It's like a fixed maybe combination of things you can try before you get it right. So the progress is very, very fast. And I feel like this kind of activities, they fall in the category of like easy enough to do, but also challenging enough to like induce basically this like flow state or whatever. Like it feels very rewarding. And it's just very nice. Like it's like a very contained experience. And that's super cool. Like I wish there were more things like this. I've been looking for more things to do like this. It feels good.
Very short term is what you're looking for, or
yeah, because the reward is like it's one session. You sit down and then you finish it, and then at the end it's done, and then you get your dopamine hit or whatever, and you can walk away from it. That's so nice, because I feel like every other thing that I typically do, they're all long-term projects.
And yeah, this is again something we have talked about. I think for me, art works well.
Because you can finish a painting in one sitting.
Yeah.
That's super nice.
Yeah. Sometimes not really, but there is a threshold to start. But once you start, then of course I try to finish, or even if not, it will get finished at some point.
Yeah.
But most of the times I do finish in one sitting. So definitely those 2-3 hours I enjoyed, of course, got in the state of flow.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I see it.
Yeah.
Podcast has been one of those as well, I think.
True. Podcast falls in that category for sure.
Yeah, because definitely short term, creative.
Yeah.
It does get us in a state of flow.
Yep.
While discussing, while editing, while listening, different components to it. That's cool. Trekking, also something that you don't do so often. Obviously, it's very rare, but definitely has a component of state of flow to it while you're climbing. And obviously, you're at the bottom, and now you have climbed 1,000 meters. You're at the top of it. I absolutely love it, and it's not something regularly that you can do.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
I guess
it has
I
that.
can see how that would work.
Yeah, it has that challenge component to it, as opposed to the creative one. Yeah, cool.
Okay, finally getting started. It's not. I guess the main thing, right? The main thing I wanted to talk about is pretty much like. Don't laugh. It is pretty much in theme with what we've been talking about for like a few weeks as well. But I think it has come in like different flavors over the weeks. And the latest flavor is pretty much this frustration with the amount of time things take, right? And I won't start with, the thing is, I don't want, like, it's gonna sound like a rant, but it's not really a complaint. It's more like, it's just a rant, like not really trying to look.
You're not looking for advice. You're not looking for.
Pretty much, like it's like everybody knows it in some ways, right? They know it, but I guess putting some words to it might not even help make things better, but might make you feel better. I guess that's what I've been looking for, at least. Like the things I've been reading, they're all the same, right? They touch upon the problem, like they acknowledge this problem, right? Like
Maybe elaborate on the problem a little bit, because we have discussed it a lot, but our
obviously the listeners
have not.
don't know. So let me just dive into one of the posts, because I think we can do it that way. So I have like 2 or 3 articles that I read recently and that resonate with me. So I'll just explain the concept through them. So the first one is by Nix. She writes Substack.
Oh, I like her.
You read her stuff?
I read some. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know which
if
one.
I don't know if I read the one you sent. I think no. I
Yeah.
read some other stuff.
Okay, I'm not sure what I sent you also, but she's pretty cool. Her writing I would describe as very poetic. Like she uses very flowy, like beautiful language. And what does she talk about? Okay, her bio says, I think a lot about choices, intuition, creation, and try to make art often. My other interests include investing, behavioral economics research, and lifting weights.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's exactly actually how I would describe her. She's a combination of the artsy, but also the very grind set.
Nice.
Let's do a lot kind of
Let's
a
go.
person. So I feel like she is probably a good person, good authority to speak on this topic.
I like that. Yeah.
So there's one passage where she says, life has found repeatable motions. I go to work, come back, read, work out, heat up dinner. Then recently I've been telling my friends that I'm trying to be ambitious at my job, but also ambitious in my life as a whole. An ambitious friend, partner, writer. So each part requires a consistent slog towards something really soft and ambiguous. It's hard to tell if you spend more time investing in particular areas that they will have any return. It's hard to tell what to prioritize. So this is sort of like, the core problem. It's like there are many things that you want to be really good at. Like the word she uses is ambitious. Not just at work, but like other, I guess, soft skills of like being a good friend, good
Actually,
partner.
that is what caught my attention more, because we have discussed about different things that we can sort of measure and sort of work towards and build those skills. But being a good girlfriend or being a good daughter is something that I never
True,
think
and
of much.
I feel for us, even in work, it's like that. With research, even it's hard to measure progress. Like
Yeah.
you have
Oh,
one
absolutely.
final thing that's called a paper,
Uh-huh.
but outside of that, it's very hard
Yeah.
to get some
Gauge
good,
anything if you're doing well. Are you
good
doing
feedback. Exactly. And okay, so before we finish that thought, there's a continuation. A little bit of segue, but she comes back to it and says, the world demands effort and follow through in the smallest of actions. Laundry, workouts, meals, articles, dishes, calendar invites. For a sketch to turn into a painting or an idea, for a sketch to turn into a painting or an idea into a lifelong craft, for everything to run in the way it does, requires a great deal of persistence and repetition to generate any magic. So this is the key, right? So there are lots of things that you care and you want to do, but they all, like each of them, require so much time and attention to generate magic, like she puts it. Like if you half-ass them or if you don't give them enough time, they won't really like mature into whatever the thing that you want them to be, right? So that's sort of the essence of wanting to do many things but wanting to do them well, which I guess at its heart sounds like, yeah, very difficult problem, but this like what else are you going to do but that. But there's like a certain frustration, I guess, that comes with it, of when you're not able to see your progress. And I don't even know if it's really about progress. It's just, yeah, I'm not sure. Like even I feel like I usually don't get tied up with the progress thing so much, but maybe it does matter. I'm not sure what it is that is bothering me. Yeah, so okay, wait, let me just take a step back. So before we even get into this, right? The point of this entire conversation is not that these things are so difficult, so you should not do them, right? Just issuing that caveat for the listeners. We are here with the assumption that these are things worth doing, even if they're difficult. But we're just trying to figure out, like, how do you deal with this problem, right? So with that in mind, what she says, or how she tries to find some solace there, is like, keep faith in the small, precise efforts, knowing everything adds up in teaspoons. the writing and the heartbreaks, the serendipity and the failures, such as life. It's elegant and ugly and hopeful. This part is nice. She says, "We don't get a transcript from heaven telling us what is worth the hunt. The search goes on until you find ideas worth chasing. It's a gift to be thrown into the game. The hidden beauty lies in figuring out how to play." Right? So her thing is basically this of you just you kind of have to believe, right, that they are adding up in teaspoons even if you can't see the progress. And I guess you just take a step back to acknowledge that this is a good problem to have in the first place. There's so many things that are so meaningful to you, and then you're like trying to figure out which things to prioritize. So the next post, I mean, you can read it if you like, but I feel like she gets it. Like there is this core frustration that you feel. And it was just nice to see someone else do the rant for once. I'm like, okay, nice. There is more people who feel this way, so that was good to see. The second one was this is actually Oliver Burkemann in the Waking Up app. He has a series. He's the guy who wrote 4,000 Weeks. Do you know this book?
Yeah, mentioned it.
Very nice book. He's also, I feel like, quite the authority on this topic. So his first book is it's called Time Management for Mortals, right? And the whole thing about the book is like you only have 4,000 weeks to live, and basically it's not enough time to do all the things that you want to do. That is basically the entire book. So then it's about like which things you focus on. That one is a bit more, how do you say, not mainstream, but less nuanced. So that is addressing a point which I don't think I struggle with. Of he's talking more about you should do the things that really matter. Like don't chase money, but like spend quality time with your family, things like that. But I think even among the things that you value, you can have a lot of things. So that then I feel like this other this is just like an audio recording he has on the Waking Up app. It's called, I think it's just titled "It's Worse Than You Think." So the why it's called that is like, so let's say you think that doing all these things that you care about, it's a very difficult problem. He basically says that it's not a very difficult problem, it's an impossible problem. So you're never going to be able to do that. So I guess it's just setting your expectations right. Of you will always find something that you want to do but you won't be able to do, and this is like what it means to like live a fully lived life, or however you want to phrase that. Like the heartbreak and the disappointment is integral to doing things well, or like to caring about things. And that's pretty much the essence. There's a few things he adds, like a few other people that he references. Apparently there's a monk who said what really makes life unbearable is thinking you can find a cure. These are things that at least I found like, okay, like these people get it. This is the same fucking problem people have been having for thousands of years. Okay, then we can move on to more things that I want to do. Does that work? Slight segue. This we talked about in the scenes episode, I think, where we were talking about building like a community for bioinformatics kind of stuff. And this again, I probably even talked about this in that episode, but this was kind of inspired by this Discord server of gamers that I'm part of. So this is like a group of guys that play different games together. I think they started it as a small group, but over the years it has grown to like 100 plus people now, and they're all people they met like friends of friends or like in game with someone. And so now it's just a place where if you let's say you want to play some game, you just go join the server, and then Discord tells you that you are playing this game, like others can see, and if they're interested they will also hop onto the server, and then you can like talk to them, make friends. Pretty much a scene, right, for video games. And it's super nice. Like I've made so many new friends through this. Like some of them I even like WhatsApp now. Like they're just like normal people. But outside of games, real people, right? Even outside of the games, I would say I have like a friendship with them, which was so nice to have. And I have just been thinking for a very long time, it would be so nice to have something like this, but in a non-gaming context. But I think part of the reason why it works so well for the gaming thing is Discord as a platform is really catered for gamers. So for example, if somebody is playing a game, they can choose to like just live stream whatever they're doing, and you can see what's happening on the computer, right? So then it seems more interesting
Engaging, yeah.
as opposed to someone just staying on a voice call.
Yeah.
You can see what they're doing,
Yeah.
and then now if you find it interesting, you can watch the stream, or you can join, like download the game, join, and you can also stream. So that part is really cool. So sometimes if I'm, if I'm just bored, I'll see that some of the boys are playing. I will just hop on and watch. Like I won't even like unmute my mic,
Yeah.
if I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
And they will be talking, right?
Yeah.
It's just joining in and like
That's
listening,
fun.
which is quite nice. Yeah, and I kind of want to do that for non-gaming
Non-game stuff, yeah.
context.
Yeah.
So one thing I was thinking about is to do that for like a study group. So pretty much set up a space where if you want to do some work, like remote work that you can do on your computer, you just hop onto the server, right? And the rough idea I have in my mind is you turn on your camera as well, so they can see you, and you're just chilling in the channel by yourself. And then if somebody hops in, they want to join, they also come into the channel, and then they can also turn on the camera. And I think I want to have one where people don't speak, right? So that's more for like working without getting disturbed. And there maybe you can have like a few features, like there's a playlist, you can, if you want, you can throw in some song recommendations, and then you play those songs.
Yeah, I like that.
And everyone's listening to the same stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
But I guess more so you would have separate channels which are for chatting. So if you are like working but you want to take a break, you can go to the other
That's
channel
super cool. Yeah.
where people can like chat.
Just hang out. Yeah.
But obviously for something like this to work, you need a minimum number of people who are on the server, right? If it's just one or two people, I think
No point. Yeah.
That's
you can
not
just meet
gonna-
in person and work.
Exactly. I mean, that was partly why I was inspired, right? Because a few times I wanted to like go and work with someone,
Yeah.
but people were busy,
Just
like
not
they were doing
available.
experiments
Yeah.
or they couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So I felt like this might be a nice compromise.
Middle solution. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've already made the server. The server's
Oh,
there.
oh, okay.
I just haven't added anyone
I
because I
see.
don't know how to like implement it. Like I mean
Implement in terms of?
like exactly this of like how many channels should we have,
Uh-huh.
what's like, should there be song recommendations,
Yeah.
or it's just playing from YouTube, like all these random technical details.
Right.
I want to figure it out before I invite people on.
Okay. I mean, these things we can also figure out on the
We
way
can,
as well,
we
depending
can.
on what people like and stuff. But I understand.
For
Like
sure.
maybe just you can set the default features, and then
Yeah.
as we go, we'll figure out what we
Yeah.
like and what works best. I like the idea for sure. We can think of like other groups of people as well, like non-CSI.
Well, I mean, the goal for me at least is to have people who are not just people you already know, right? I want to have people that come in and then like people can like meet each other. Like that, I guess, is sort of also the main purpose. It's not
I
just
see.
people you're already friends
Okay,
with.
I didn't know that about this
Yeah,
goal
so-
of yours. I thought it was basically just getting company while you're working.
Well, that's part of it, right? But I don't want it to be limited to that.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I
how do
think-
you share it then? How do you?
That's the challenge, right? Like, how do you get people? I mean, I guess it starts with friends of friends, right? And I mean, the other thing also is what's missing right now is maybe a common interest. So for the games thing, the games are the common interest. Even it can be different games. So for this, I guess it has to be like a study thing. Like if you're just looking for some place where you want to work, and then you want other people who are also, I guess, who like the company but want to work remotely.
Yeah.
So I thought of like few more things you could add on. So one idea I had was you have another channel which is, believe it or not, goal setting, right? So you go onto the channel and then you just say what you want to accomplish in that study session or maybe in that day. And you could have a Discord bot that checks on you, but ideally there's someone else who checks on you, and then the same way they
Yeah.
make one for you, right?
Yeah.
So there is like some accountability.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might just give you some incentive. Like if you're feeling particularly like no drive on some day, you just hop on the server, find someone to do this thing with, you set something, you let them set it for you,
Yeah.
and then you just work together for a while.
I absolutely love the idea.
I just don't know how broadly or how narrowly to scope it. Like one, I want more people, but I feel like it should also be somewhat of a, maybe it doesn't have to be, I don't know, right? Like maybe
Somewhat of a what?
like I was thinking, should we do like a biology
I don't
thing?
think so actually. Yeah. Initially, while we were discussing, I was thinking about this as well, that if we want not cancer research, just research, biology, PhD
Yeah.
stuff, or widen it out. I think it would be nice to widen it out because then we can have conversations which are, still somewhat work related, but they're work related, which is something you would normally not talk about as much.
Yeah, so the umbrella is just, I guess, remote work or something like this. Like get some company while you're working.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Yeah. The server right now is called Art of Academia because I couldn't think of a better name. Like initially, I guess one of the things I was thinking is like this could just be a community that we build off of the podcast, but obviously we don't have enough people there in the first place. So,
Yeah, actually, I thought as well. Maybe we can ask like our random followers and stuff, but that's, I guess, mostly
the listeners are
our
friends.
friends.
Slight tangent. I feel like not enough people recognize how much fun it can be to work together. I feel like either they haven't tried or I don't believe that it doesn't work for them. I feel like the only reason it has to be that maybe they tried a few times and it didn't go well, or they just haven't tried because it's such a hack to work with people.
The thing is, the last time people used to do group study and all in 10th standard, and like, before that, it was ages ago. And
when
then
you have like the same exam,
you're like sitting together in hostels, especially in hostels during our undergrad, even actually, people would just cram into this one room. There's one person who actually knows something, would just pass on the wisdom to everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could work for some people, of course, but that was a different setting for sure. But that could be disruptive for some people. So maybe it's like, oh, not for me.
For sure. I mean, this part I get. Like, if you are doing a group study, this is something you have to manage, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want to get some work done. You don't want to get too distracted. Like, if you have someone who's very chatty, it will be hard to work.
Yeah.
So these are things you do have to manage. But I still feel like it's such a boost sometimes.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're like feeling, you're not feeling it. You just want some motivation.
Yeah.
It can be so nice.
Yeah. Develop the features and then we see how.
Okay, we'll do like a soft launch next week probably once we're back. Cool. What else? I have a lot of random small things that trying to fit in. So there's this guy. He's called Ilya Shobinov, and he was someone I discovered when speak about another thing I wanted to do but I never got to, which was, remember I wanted to do like a proper lit review and then turn that into like a blog series or whatever. So when I was doing that, I was like basically looking up, as one does, how to do a lit review, but in non-conventional sources, Twitter, let's say. And this guy came up. So he, I don't remember his story fully, but he seems like he was a tech guy, like he's like a CEO of some tech company, but he was not feeling it or something. So he decided to start a PhD in his 40s in biology, like molecular bio or something. And he started it, and he kind of, at least that's how he markets himself. He brought all his computer, like software engineering skill set into the biology research landscape, particularly with the literature review process, because he seems to be very annoyed by it, rightfully so. I feel like one should be annoyed by this. And also a little bit of the naive thing of like, I'm gonna fix this, right? Which I really appreciate. I wish more people would like feel this way. But anyway, so he started out as basically a lit review guy, and his whole thing was he had come up with like a system of how to do that, and I didn't really try it myself. It seemed a bit too complex for me, but I was glad that somebody's working on something like this, and I was following him just peripherally. But now he has also taken up the AI wave, right? So now he is basically incorporating all these AI tools into his lit review process.
Ooh.
And this seems like something I should be paying more attention to, because especially since ChatGPT, but they also like apart from just ChatGPT, they released this GPT market, whatever, I don't remember exactly what it's called. But what this does now is like it takes ChatGPT's base model, and then people fine tune it to build like applications with a specific purpose in mind. And a lot of them are like research related. So I was looking through some of them, and it seems like they fall into like two categories. One is like summarizing / paraphrasing stuff, right? So you give it like maybe a big chunk, and then you rewrite this, or like what are the main ideas from this. And the second camp is also interesting, which is again these AI things. They are hooked on to like PubMed and everything. So they also help you find new papers.
Yeah.
So forget about just reading, summarizing.
Yeah.
But they also help you do the search.
That's cool.
And this one I did try. I tried a bit more. There's one called Lit Maps, and you can do a lot of fancy stuff. Like you can take one paper, and if you feed it the citation, it sort of nicely makes a plot for you, showing which all papers refer to it, and then what all papers it refers. And you can like sort of zoom out from there as far as you want. Like you can go multiple connections back.
That's cool.
And it will even try to summarize in what context they are being cited. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just wondering if there are more domains where similar thing applies. We can end with outro, but I feel like I've already talked too much.
I'll cut it out. I'll cut
Okay, the outro, this is me trying to go back to what we had initially decided, that we would end with a recommendation, right?
Oh, yeah?
I feel like we kind of forgot that halfway through. So for this, I have two movies this time. I don't know if I think I mentioned one to you. Okay, so the first one is Licorice Pizza. Very nice movie. It is not classical, but like a romantic film. Like it's basically a love story. And it is typical in some ways, but it was very well done. I feel like the acting is really good, and it has a very unique energy. Like it doesn't feel like it manages to be core to the theme of a love story, but it doesn't feel very. It has some elements to it, but it's fresh. Like it stays to the core, but it still manages to be fresh. There is like some
That's
new
cool.
things. So I really liked it, and one funny thing is like how I found at least is how much the characters run in the movie. Like the guy and the girl, they're fucking running around everywhere, and it was such a strange thing. Like sometimes the scene is like 2 minutes, two
Yeah.
entire minutes of them running. I think one of the nicer movies I watched
Yeah.
recently. So Licorice Pizza. The second one is Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. You heard about this?
I've heard of it. I think I've watched half of it as well. I haven't finished it though.
How did you stop at half?
I'm not sure what happened. I do that. I tend to do that, yeah.
No way. So this is a Wes Anderson film, and normally his films they can leave you confused, right? So I think of all the movies I've seen of him, most of them I would say I didn't understand. But two movies I feel like I did understand, and they are both very good. One of them is The Grand Budapest Hotel, very old film of his, also really nice. But this is the second one, The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar. So very briefly, without spoiling, it's about a guy who's very rich, but he's feeling kind of aimless in life. Then he kind of I'm saying this in such a lame way, but he kind of figures out that meditation is a thing, and he does meditate, but the goal is to like develop some superpowers, I guess, right? Okay, wait, let me just read the plot. Okay, sorry, I guess we can start over. So the plot is basically this guy who is from a rich family, but he has a gambling addiction, and then I guess he's kind of like whiling it away or something, and then one day he hears about some person who can see through objects, and then the way he does it is by some form of like meditation, like a lot of concentration practice. And then he decides he's gonna do this. He goes, finds this guy in the forest, meditates with him, and then goes back, and then he tries to like do it, and then finally he manages to get this power where he can like look through objects. And then what does he use that for? Gambling. Right now he can like look through cards and see what's on the other side and always win. But it does have a wholesome ending. He starts to give, like once he has made some money, he realizes.
Wait, don't spoil it if you're gonna spoil it, because I wanna watch it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. I will just leave it at that. It has a nice wholesome ending, but yeah, it's a very nicely done movie. I will just say that then.